Welcome back. The court-ordered deadline for statewide recounts in the razor-thin races for governor, Senate, and agriculture have come and gone, and we still don't have all the final answers. The difference in terms of the victory and defeat in the races for Senate between Bill Nelson and Rick Scott is so small it qualifies for yet another recount, this time by hand. While things went pretty well around here in Palm Beach County, overheated equipment put a premature end to the machine count. Competing lawsuits by Senator Nelson and Governor Scott are being appealed. This election is the one that keeps giving in terms of storylines, drama, and irresponsible allegations without any evidence whatsoever from the President of the United States of America. And joining us for more are Tracy Pratt, who ran as a Democrat in House District 71, and Martin Hyde, a Republican who ran for Sarasota City Commission, and we welcome to you both. Let's start with the governor's race, because the machine recount really does not have any differences in terms of the final result. Congressman DeSantis is the apparent winner, although, Tracy, Mayor Gillum has not yet conceded defeat again. He still wants all votes out there counted. Yes, he does. And I know he came out with that today, and he would not, his original concession that he took back, he has not come out again to concede again, because he wants all the votes counted. So I think he's gonna wait until it's called. Is that kind of, and you know, we all have our constitutional rights, every vote should be counted, but is he dragging this out a little bit longer than he should in a way that could impact his political future? I don't know. I think demanding that every voice is heard in an election is important. And his is not the only race being counted right now. So this is a process that's going on. And I certainly won't begrudge him from trying to find every last vote for him. Right. And Martin, we're also, when we're talking about the U.S. Senate race, there's just so much going on. Competing lawsuits by Governor Scott and Senator Nelson. It's going to go to a hand count right now at the same time it is going up to the appellate court in Atlanta. There's been a lot of talk about whether both these candidates are doing a disservice by all these lawsuits.
That one's really close. I mean, 12,500 votes out of 8 odd million. I can understand. Statistically, you know this, they've reported it pretty well in the news. Most of these recounts don't really change more than 1,500 so votes.
But let me ask you this, because you know, there's been one of those lawsuits is about whether or not the signatures on the ballot match what is in the record. A federal judge in Tallahassee slammed Florida today for repeatedly failing to anticipate election problems, basically saying that we are a laughing stock of the world.
Yeah, and that's an interesting point, because I read, and it's interesting, they say that a lot of people under 40 simply don't use handwriting much. They don't even teach cursive in a lot of schools these days. So signatures and the use of them, the scribble that they put on their driver's license versus what they might put on an election form, I think that's something that the legislature absolutely needs to look at.
Tracy, I was on the radio program out of Tampa today, and I said something to the effect that, you know, we keep on having this issue in Florida. Now, back in 2000, I would imagine that other states across the country have the same very issue. It just never gets magnified like this because not all races are this close. Right. We are a deeply divided state, and is that not more responsible for recounts like this?
Well, I think you're absolutely right, Alan. I think because our races are so close, there's a higher expectation, but then that means we also have the same responsibility to make sure that we have processes in place in preparation for these razor-thin races.
Well, do you think the legislature is going to take that up in its new session?
I hope so.
Okay. We have to take a quick break. Our conversation on the midterm recount continues right after we get a check on the first alert forecast with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob.
Thanks, Alan. And winter is here, and not just fall, winter. We're talking temperatures back down tomorrow morning into the upper 40s to low 50s, a little bit of a wind. It'll make it feel colder, and that's typical what you get in January and February. Low temperatures average in the low 50s in those months. You can still see some clouds hanging around, but those clouds are starting to thin out. Once the winds turn more to the north, we'll look for temperatures to drop pretty significantly. That'll happen mainly after midnight, and upper 40s to mid 50s, upper 40s well inland, but mid 50s near the beaches. Sunshine a lot more of it tomorrow. There'll be a lot of sunshine around, but with a north wind steady at 10 to 15, that will usher in the cold air, so it'll defeat any kind of sunshine trying to warm things up. It'll be cool. High temperatures only in the mid to upper 60s on Friday. Saturday, a cold start, but the weekend is looking spectacular, especially in the afternoon, as we'll see temperatures rebound by midday on Saturday, back into the mid-70s. And they'll be watching more snow over the Northeast. In fact, there's winter storm warnings in effect for New York, also into Connecticut, stretching all the way up into Maine tonight. As this nor'easter gets going and cranks up, more snow expected. It was around Indiana and Illinois yesterday and this morning, causing all sorts of headaches for travelers there. There's the area in pink indicating the winter storm warning. Just this area alone will affect over 4 million people near Boston and Connecticut. Well, for us, that front well to our south now. It continues to push now through South Florida. Behind it, there's still a few sprinkles possible with some of these low clouds that are moving around. No significant rain anticipated, though, through the night, and skies will begin to clear. Current temperatures, I mentioned, mid-40s to low 40s in the Panhandle, and still into the mid-60s here. The water temperature is something to watch. This has gone down 3 degrees just today, and with temperatures dropping down into the 50s tomorrow near the coast, it's going to drop even more so throughout the day. So we can say goodbye to the Gulf of Mexico being a breeding ground for hurricanes. There are certainly the possibility of tropical systems getting into the Gulf and not strengthening, but we will not see anything develop in the Gulf of Mexico for the rest of the way out, and we only have 2 weeks left before the official end. So tomorrow's high temperatures will be in the mid-60s. We'll have plenty of sunshine around as high pressure builds back in. Temperature forecasts into the 40s across the Panhandle at 7 a.m. We'll be in the 40s here in places. This is Saturday morning now. Tomorrow we'll be in the low 50s near the beaches. Now, Saturday will start off cool, but we'll warm up, as I mentioned, into the mid-70s. If you're going to Orlando, 76 degrees there and 77 in Naples and Fort Myers. It looks like the Saturday will be quite nice in the afternoon. Well, here's the forecast, and the nor'easter continues to travel up through Maine tomorrow. And then another system comes down. More snow expected from Michigan, northern Indiana, into parts of Ohio as well, in near Cleveland, also getting close to Toledo, as well as into Pennsylvania and New York. So this series of storms continues to kind of work its way down the trough of the jet stream over the eastern third of the nation. For most of the Northeast, they're going to see repeated storms coming on through over the upcoming days. There's another one even Friday, next Friday, not this Friday coming up, but the Friday after. More snow expected as a strong system moves in. And then another one developing here off the coast of Florida, which could certainly track off toward the Northeast. A very active pattern right now over the eastern third of the nation. Currently, it's 65 degrees. The high today was at 3 o'clock. It got up to 74 and the low 68. That number will change before midnight. We'll be in the low 60s. So more than likely our official low for the day will be right around 62 degrees. Caution should be exercised for boaters tomorrow. We'll have winds out of the north at 15 knots and seas will be still up there 3 to 5 feet. So here's the forecast as it looks now. We'll see breezy conditions tomorrow, a lot more sunshine, but highs only in the mid to upper 60s. And then we'll start off very chilly Saturday morning. So if you have an early activity planned outdoors on Saturday morning, you're going to need a jacket. And then we warm up. We stay into the mid to upper 70s, which is more like it for this time of year, all the way through Thanksgiving. Alan will be right back after this.
It's year-end clearance time at every Gettle location. Over 3,000 new vehicles, over 1,000 used vehicles on clearance right now at Gettle.com. And Gettle Pre-Owned Certified Plus means buying with peace of mind. Get credit help, fast cash for your car, and year-end clearance prices right now at a Gettle dealership near you. Gettle's got it. At Gettle.com.
Christmas Tradition by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Make your holidays sparkle with style. Browse our amazing showroom, cute collectible cottages, and beautiful Christmas displays. Find the inspiration, selection, and quality you need to deck the halls merry and bright. Christmas Traditions also features the area's largest selection of quality pre-lit Christmas trees, every size, shape, and color, and plenty of decorations to make your home shine for the holidays. Christmas Traditions by Lux Art Silks, where more is merrier. Visit us on New 301, just a quarter-mile north of University Parkway.
Happy Honda Days are here, and you're gonna like the holiday clearance savings. Save on the Accord. On sale for just $249 a month. That's the North American car of the year for less than the competition. Our most impressive Honda ever. On clearance for only $249 a month, loaded with more options, including a turbocharged engine and Honda Sensing. Do not miss these Honda clearance savings this week at your local Honda dealer.
Helping families with mesothelioma is all we do. My firm has been offering a free book on mesothelioma for over 10 years. Since that time, hundreds of people with mesothelioma have trusted us to represent them. We have local offices throughout the U.S. and there is no risk to you. Mesothelioma really is all we do. Call us at 1-800-485-6000. That's 1-800-485-6000. Or go to mesoonlylaw.com.
We've all heard how military veterans adjusting to the civilian world may have certain issues.
30. 70.
If only everyone had this issue. No matter what challenge they face, Easter Seals is here for America's veterans.
Well, Thomas, you've got pre-diabetes. But with more exercise and a change in diet, it can be reversed.
I've tried exercising. It just makes me hungry for bacon.
I love bacon, too. And who really likes to exercise?
Not me.
Me neither.
Nobody. So we're good?
What? Oh, you still have pre-diabetes. Big time.
Welcome back. We are talking about the Great Florida Recount 2018 edition. And joining us for more are Tracy Pratt, who ran as a Democrat in House District 71, and Martin Hyde, a Republican who ran for Sarasota City Commission. There's been so much finger pointing in some of these races on both sides. But, you know, the governor saying that liberals are trying to steal this election and vice versa. Bill Nelson is back at work up in Washington with the other Democrats. This is what Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer had to say about the election.
President Trump and Governor Scott seem dead set against counting every vote. Why? Because they're worried that if every vote is counted, Bill Nelson will be reelected as senator from the great state of Florida.
Martin, it's still a big job for Senator Nelson to actually win this race. You know, it's been described as he has to pull a royal flush because 12,000 votes out of 8 million is not a lot, but when you're talking about recounts, that is a lot.
Well, yeah, because we're not recounting 8 million votes. We're only counting the undervotes and the overvotes. And if you assume that it's a close race, statistically, it would be incongruous to pick up that many votes. There would have to be way more undervotes and overvotes than actually are. That's why in the Gore election in 2000, there was less than 1,500 votes statewide. I don't blame him. It's his life. It's a big moment. I just don't think 12,000 even is turnable.
We've been talking this week, Tracy, about the history of it all, that since 2000 there have been something like 23 statewide recounts across the country, and in only 3 cases has an election been overturned. And in those cases, the difference between first and second was something like 500 votes or less.
Yes, but the process matters. The process matters so much in a democracy. We have to make sure that there's an integrity in our voting system and that voters feel confident that their voice is going to be heard. So even though it's unlikely that a lot of these recounts are going to turn the face of the race, it's really important for voters to understand that their voice will be heard and that their vote will be counted. Yeah,
it's a fair question to ask Democrats when it comes to Senator Nelson. Why was it this close? This is a senator who has been in office for a long time, has a long record to look at. He rarely came around the Suncoast in the late stages of this campaign. Voters from here maybe saw him once or twice.
Yeah, I met him Early on, when I was running, he did come down here and he met with key Democrats at an event. But you know, it's a big state to overcome.
And the same thing with Governor Scott. He really did not campaign and press the flesh around these parts. He had, you know, one stop a while back, red tide. It did not go well for him. Did either one of these men really kind of make their case?
No, I don't think they did. I mean, that is exactly it. This Monday morning quarterbacking about signatures and ballot machines is fine and dandy, but perhaps they should be asking themselves the question, why did either of them get it that close? I don't think it's a question necessarily of Rick Scott doing a bad job or Bill Nelson. I don't think either of them were particularly high energy or captured the imagination. I didn't feel particularly drawn to either.
There were no Martin Hydes there.
They absolutely weren't. No.
Okay. We're just getting warmed up on our conversation on the midterm recount. We'll continue after a quick break. Stay with us.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
That is a pretty good breakfast. You're not even eating.
Not hungry.
No? Why not? What's up?
Kath and I knew that Jenny had been partying a bit. Found out she tried heroin.
Most people don't know what to say about drugs, but we do. Visit us at drugfree.org.
Here's something we bet you didn't know. Nearly half of all cancers can be prevented. That's right, half. Nearly 50%, mostly by making small everyday changes in your diet and controlling your weight, walking more, eating less, and eating foods that help you and your family to seriously reduce the risk of cancer. And of course, by not smoking. Visit the Cancer Prevention Together We Can website and get a free 30-day planner filled with tips, recipes, stats, and more about protecting your family. Go to prevent50.org.
Saturdays at midnight on ABC 7.
Coast Guard, we are taking on water.
The United States Coast Guard. They secure our ports and waterways, protect our environment, keep drugs away from our kids, and save lives. It's dangerous work. And in times of triumph or tragedy, the Coast Guard Foundation answers the call to support Coast Guard members and their families. Learn more at coastguardfoundation.org.
Me, pick me. Oh, come on, man. Oh, man, I love technology. Hey, check out my new phone. Look at this right here. For years, the DeSoto Club has needed improvements. Join me and Boys and Girls Club of Manatee County as we raise money to build a brand new facility. It will be bigger and better, just like it was 40 years ago when I attended. Invest in kids, build great futures.
Our nation's servicemen and women show great courage and leadership, both on and off the battlefield. When they transition to civilian life, they can apply the skills and values they learned in the military to the workplace. That's why the Coalition to Salute America's Heroes is urging employers everywhere to be smart, bet on a vet. Hiring a veteran is also a great way to show your appreciation for them. To learn more, call 1-888-44-SALUTE.
Keep up with the Suncoast. Watch your favorite ABC 7 shows on your streaming device. You're watching ABC 7 News at 7:30.
Welcome back. We are talking about the Great Florida Recount, the 2018 edition, and joining us for more are Tracy Pratt, who ran as a Democrat in House District 71, and Martin Hyde, a Republican who ran for Sarasota City Commission. And I want to talk for a few minutes about the rhetoric that a lot of folks have been using during this recount, which I believe is doing a disservice to the country and is raising doubts of a lot of Americans in terms of our voting process. And I'm going to start with the President of the United States. I think we have it on the screen. He told the Daily Caller this: when people get in line that have absolutely no right to vote and they go around in circles, sometimes they go in their car, put on a different hat, put on a different shirt, and come in and vote again. Nobody takes anything. It's really a disgrace what's going on. If you buy a box of cereal, you have a voter ID. They try to shame everybody by calling them racist or calling them something. And anything they can think of when you say you want voter ID, but voter ID is very important. Number one, Martin, you don't need a ID to buy a box of cereal, and the president is flatly making this up. There is no evidence of this, and there are people out there who will believe that this in fact happens.
I normally support the president in pretty much everything he says. I think on this occasion, he beyond misspoke. He's obviously upset, wound up about something.
I wonder what that is.
Well, who knows?
But anyway.
But as far as people putting on disguises and voting, I think we've all seen and heard things about Acorn years ago when President Obama and voter registration, and he's leading on from there. I agree it's not a responsible way to go, and it doesn't really deal with the true issues here of the voting, which we should have the same machines throughout the state, and we should have the technology so that we can do this in a professional manner.
But both the Secretary of State of Florida and the courts have said, law enforcement, FDLE has said that there may have been some sloppy work here and issues of competency, but there's absolutely no evidence of fraud.
I don't doubt that. I don't believe that there is. I think that there are people that want different outcomes, and there are people that are strident about it. I don't believe there are too many people putting on disguises, and even if there were, I don't think it would amount to a hill of beans.
Tracy, you just finished an exhausting campaign in a highly polarized area. You were telling us during the commercial break that after the Kavanaugh hearings, you had to stop canvassing because people were so angry out there. When you hear this, what impact do you think it's going to have on whether it's Democrats or Republicans out there in terms of the election is over, it's time to start governing?
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell you that the comment itself about people putting on disguises would be laughable if it were not so reckless. And it's a true disservice to the American people who believe that their votes should be counted. You know, we need to bring people together. We need to be talking about being part of the American team and part of democracy. And I think reckless statements like that, just to win or just to dig at the opposite side, is a true disservice to the American people and not a sign of a leader.
And let's be fair, it's not the president alone. There's a congressman from the Panhandle, Matt Gaetz. You might have seen him on Fox News, who said that all this legal action by the Democrats is testing the parameters in order for their plans to steal the 2020 election from President Trump. This is a United States congressman saying this, Martin, and how could, it seems that it's not only wrong-headed, but it's counterproductive.
I agree. I only watch you and CNN, of course, so I didn't see the guy on Fox News. But as far as irresponsible and no evidence, frankly, I'm not sure there's a tremendous amount of evidence of voter suppression either. I think that the president certainly has overstepped the line there. I think the congressman, by the sounds of it, is a little bit too fired up too. But I'm not sure that Chuck Schumer or Bill Nelson talking about every vote count, because that gives the illusion that somehow stuff's being put away and people aren't getting their rights. And I don't think there's any evidence of that either.
Tracy?
Well, I mean, I think having it go through the courts is exactly how we protect the election in 2020. We make sure that we take a look at the processes that we have now, we look at the failures or where things have worked, and we're able to create a system that is more equitable, that will ensure that we have that good voter contact and integrity for 2020.
Well, I mean, we are blessed in Sarasota and Manatee counties that we have two really fine supervisors of elections, and there was a little bit of a hiccup in Manatee the other day in terms of the recounts. But looking at your experience on the ballot this time around, Tracy, what recommendation do you have in terms of how we vote, whether it's about the ballot or how we count it? Would you like to see the legislature take on?
Well, First of all, I'd like to say I've been in touch with heads of the Democratic Party in both counties, and even though we are clearly, have been losing in both counties, both counties really felt like there was a good, fair process, and that it went well, and that the small hiccup that we had in Manatee County was overcome. Mike Bennett did a good job of making sure that those votes got counted, and we haven't really seen any problems. I think the big concern that we're looking at right now are the signatures on the ballots, and like Martin was talking about, it shows that younger people, especially, their signatures are different. They're not writing like they did when we were younger,
sure.
and so those signatures required to match. We need to come up with a better solution.
In fact, the federal judge said that today, that Florida, all these ballots were kicked out because of the mismatched signatures, but Florida, the statute doesn't have a real standard in terms of how you judge a signature.
One might imagine in the world that we live in, people are against ACLU, is against national identity cards and biometrics, but it would be one certain way to assure one person, one vote. You walk in, slap your finger down, pop your eye in a reader, and you'd be knowing that that was one time.
Here's the other question for you, Martin. You're a businessman,
sure.
And any businessman who's watching this, businesses up and down the Suncoast, supply chain management is an art in terms of knowing where your product is going. We know everything about these things. Why do we have that kind of technology in our economy, but we don't have that kind of technology in defense of our elections?
Because people only talk about taxes on the 14th of April, and people only talk about elections the day after an election. In truth, this absolutely, had this back in 2000, we've got this again now to a limited extent. Absolutely, there's no reason why one time we couldn't go to, they talk about individual counties, why wouldn't we have the same machines? Why wouldn't we have the latest technology? Why wouldn't we pass something so that this can never happen again?
And the reality is that the supervisor of elections in Broward County, who has come under so much criticism, maybe rightfully so, has said that she asked the state for new machinery 3 years ago, and this governor and this legislature turned her down.
Mm-hmm. Well, perhaps we're going to get it right for 2020 because, as we see, we're seeing a problem there that they can only count one election at a time. And so they have a tremendous amount of precincts, they have a tremendous amount of ballots that they have to get through, and they've got a machine that is really antiquated. We need to get up to date on it. And if we're going to ensure that voters' voices are heard, the legislature is going to have to put some money into it.
And we're likely to have close elections going forward. Not that much is going to change between now and 2020. It's still going to be a hair's breadth between winning and losing, and people are wanting to participate, and I think this will increase turnout even further. So absolutely, there's not an awful lot of time. Elections take a while to plan. If I was going to go up to the legislature and the State House, I think that everybody owes their constituents the time to put that on a House bill and say, let's get this right, let's find the money and let's do it.
I would imagine the other question, and we only have a couple of seconds left, is that we're going to have a very polarized legislature. Democrats have picked up some seats, but Republicans are still firmly in control. Once we get there with all the other budget priorities, do you think that they will spend the money, Tracy?
Wow, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. I think it's going to depend on what they think is going to happen in 2020. I think we still have a Republican majority by and large, and if they think that that's going to benefit them, then I would imagine the money is going to go there. If not, I guess we'll have to wait and see. And are the constituents going to put the pressure on them?
Okay, we have to leave it there. We want to thank you both. We want to thank our guest Tracy Pratt, who ran as a Democrat in House District 71, and Martin Hyde, a Republican who ran for Sarasota City Commission.